My name is Sophia, and my life changed forever on what should have been the happiest night of my life. Instead, it became the most humiliating, confusing, and heartbreaking experience I could ever imagine. I met Daniel 2 years ago, and from the moment we locked eyes, I thought I had found my forever. He was charming, attentive, and seemed to know exactly how to make me feel special. Our relationship was a whirlwind of romance, spontaneous weekend getaways, late-night talks about our dreams, and promises of a future together. When he proposed after just a year of dating, I didn't hesitate to say yes. The months leading up to our wedding were a blur of planning, laughter, and excitement. My friends and family adored Daniel. He had a way of making everyone feel at ease, and he fit into my life so seamlessly. I thought I knew everything about him. The ceremony was perfect. I wore a dress I had dreamed of since I was a little girl, and Daniel looked dashing in his suit. We exchanged vows in front of our closest family and friends, and when he said, "I do," I believed him with every fiber of my being. The reception was a celebration of love. We danced, laughed, and toasted to our future. I felt like the luckiest woman alive. But as the night wore on, I began to notice something strange about Daniel. He seemed distracted, his smiles less genuine, and his touches less tender. When I asked him if everything was okay, he waved me off with a reassuring smile. "I'm just tired," he said. "It's been a long day." I chalked it up to wedding day nerves and didn't press further. After all, we were about to start our honeymoon, and I was too euphoric to let anything dampen my mood. When the party finally wound down, we said goodbye to our guests and headed to the bridal suite. I remember feeling nervous but excited. This was the beginning of our life together. But as soon as we stepped into the room, Daniel's demeanor changed. He seemed restless, pacing the floor and avoiding my gaze. "What's wrong?" I asked, my voice trembling. He stopped and looked at me with an expression I couldn't read, part guilt, part anguish. "Sophia, I need to tell you something," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. My heart sank. "What is it?" He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "I can't do this. I thought I could, but I can't." I stared at him, uncomprehending. "Can't do what?" "This," he said, gesturing vaguely around the room. "The marriage. Us. I made a mistake." His words hit me like a physical blow. "What are you talking about? We just got married. You said your vows." "I know," he said, his voice cracking. "And I meant them. At the time. But now, I just can't." I felt like the ground had been pulled out from under me. "Is there someone else?" I asked, my voice shaking. He didn't answer right away, which was answer enough. "Daniel," I pressed, "is there someone else?" He nodded, his eyes filled with regret. "I didn't plan for this to happen," he said. "But yes, there's someone else, and I can't pretend anymore." The room spun as I tried to process his words. The man I had just pledged my life to was telling me he loved someone else. That night I cried until there were no tears left. The pain was unbearable, like a weight pressing on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Daniel barely acknowledged me, sitting on the couch with his eyes glued to the television, as if my world wasn't falling apart right in front of him. His indifference hurt almost as much as his betrayal. Eventually, exhaustion claimed me, and I fell asleep, still in my wedding dress, curled up on the bed that was supposed to mark the beginning of our new life together. My dreams were restless, haunted by fragmented images of Daniel walking away, laughing with someone else, and leaving me behind. When I woke up the next morning, the room was eerily silent. For a moment, I thought maybe Daniel had stayed. that maybe we could talk and find some way to make sense of the nightmare. But when I called out his name, there was no response. I stumbled out of bed, my heart pounding, and searched the suite. The couch where he had sat was empty, the TV off. His tuxedo jacket was gone, and so were his shoes. Panic set in as I checked the bathroom and found it empty, his toiletries untouched. It hit me like a thunderbolt. Daniel had left. He had walked out in the middle of the night, leaving me alone on what should have been the start of our married life. Desperate, I grabbed my phone and dialed his number, my hand shaking so badly I almost dropped it. But the call didn't go through. "The number you have dialed is not reachable," the automated voice droned, as if mocking my despair. I tried again and again, my fingers trembling with every attempt. But it was no use. His phone was off, or worse, he had blocked me. I sank to the floor, clutching the phone to my chest, as the reality of the situation sank in. Daniel hadn't just left me physically. He had abandoned me emotionally, cutting off any chance for explanation or reconciliation. I was utterly alone. The weight of it all crashed down on me. The betrayal, the humiliation, the shattered dreams. It was too much to bear. I cried until my body ached, my sobs echoing through the empty room. What was I supposed to do now? How was I supposed to face everyone, to explain why my husband had disappeared the night of our wedding? I felt broken, crushed, under the weight of a love that had turned out to be a lie. Daniel had chosen her over me, and I was left to pick up the pieces of a life that no longer made sense. I spent weeks in a fog of disbelief, replaying every moment of our relationship and wondering how I had missed the signs. My family and friends rallied around me, urging me to move on. But it wasn't easy. But as time passed, I made a choice. I would not let Daniel's betrayal define me. I threw myself into work, enrolling in business courses and taking every opportunity to learn and grow. Slowly, my grief transformed into determination. It wasn't easy, but I built something from the ground up, a small tech company that over the years blossomed into a thriving enterprise. I poured my heart and soul into it, and the success that followed was more fulfilling than I could have imagined. 5 years later, I stood at the helm of a multi-million-dollar company, proud of the empire I had created. I had moved on from Daniel, or so I thought. One day, as I was reviewing a stack of job applications, I saw a name that made my heart stop. Daniel. My breath caught as I read through his application. He was seeking a mid-level management position, and his credentials were solid. But it wasn't his qualifications that held my attention. It was the man himself. The memories came rushing back. The betrayal, the pain, the nights I spent wondering how I had been so blind. For a moment, I considered tossing his application aside, but something stopped me. Was this my chance to confront him? To show him how far I had come? Or was it an opportunity for closure? To prove to myself that I had truly moved on. That evening, I sat in my office staring at Daniel's name on the screen. I couldn't make the decision alone, so I called my best friend, Lisa. "Lisa," I said, my voice trembling, "you won't believe who applied for a job here." When I told her, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Sophia," she said finally, "this is huge. What are you going to do?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me wants to reject him outright, but another part of me, I don't know, Lisa. What if he's changed? What if he genuinely needs this job?" "You're under no obligation to help him," Lisa said firmly. "But if you think giving him a chance will give you peace of mind, then do it. Just don't let him manipulate you." Her words stayed with me as I weighed my options. The decision wasn't just about Daniel. It was about me. Did I want to confront my past, or did I want to leave it behind for good? As I sit here now, staring at Daniel's application, I'm torn. Part of me wants to extend an olive branch to prove that I'm not the broken woman he left behind. But another part of me wonders if opening this door will only bring more pain. So here I am asking for advice. What should I do? Should I give Daniel the job and show him how far I've come? Or should I close this chapter of my life once and for all, refusing to let him have any place in my world?